lesson to me, like, it's okay every once in a while to say something for just 18% of the room.
Yeah.
Because that 18% is going to lose their shit that you worked in a Twyla Tharp reference.
Yeah, I don't really know. I never really worked with him or know him that well, but I always appreciated to some degree what like how hard it is to do what he does, because it is really difficult. You know, I don't think it works with football, but
I think,
yeah,
I think you become a prisoner of it at some point where you have to keep. As soon as
thinks so. Yeah.
In his second special, when he goes, "Someone stop me before I sub-reference again," like as soon as he said that out loud, I went, "Well, this party's obviously over." Like he jumped his own shark.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I don't know if you noticed, but I got a lot of wacky references, babe. Chica Choo Choo, Sha-Na-Na opening up for Peter Paul, and who gives a fuck?
Yeah, you're right.
So Miller's Off-White album was the one that I never, like, that was my Paul's Boutique. Like, the album I never stopped listening. It would just end and I would just start it over.
Did you ever listen to Hello Dummy, Don Rickles' album?
Yeah, look at him. I never entertained the Mountie, huh?
Well, it's funny because he's working the crowd on an album.
Yeah, I'm going to get the Mexican to lay on you. Oh, the Mexican's going to lay on me? She's all excited. Take it easy, lady. Look at the Mexican. Turn on the television. I love that his impression of a Mexican is the phrase, turn on the television. That's his impression. Like, look how far we've come in making fun of races. We're like, in 1968, Don Rickles' impression of a Mexican is simply, turn on the television. The place goes fucking crazy. Apparently, Mexicans in the 70s watched a shitload of television, and they were known for it. Well, because we're all like, oh, Dios mío, papi. Like, you and I got to work in Spanish. We got to say actual things like, La Raza. Am I right, Holmes?
Yeah. What about Raider Nation?
What about Selena? Did she die again? That's the best thing I ever saw Dave say to a crowd of people. What? You weren't being heckled. You were at the Comedy Cellar, and there was 5 Mexicans.
In my mind, I was being heckled, though.
Yes. Oh, they were mind heckling.
No, I mean, in my mind, I'm always being heckled.
Bro, it's about 8 Mexican ladies in the very, very front row. And the stage of the Comedy Cellar is literally 2 inches.
I know what you're going to say.
2 inches above the floor. Like, you're not up above anybody. Your balls are at their table.
Yeah.
And you're doing probably 15 straight minutes, and everyone's laughing except this pocket of animosity exactly in front of you. And they're fucking staring at you, and they hate you, and they hate you. And you do a joke like an old sea captain. What's wrong, ladies? Did Selena die again? And it was like 2 days after she had died, and they just got up and left. It was one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was a different time, Jay. I always put all my shitty jokes like, well, it was a different era, but thank you.
Tell you. Or as we like to call it, the Kevin Nealon podcast. I don't know. That was a different time.
Oh, is that what he says?
Jesus Christ. He was in the witness protection program. A fucking CIA op couldn't have broken him. We talked to him for 2 hours. He couldn't name a sketch. He goes, I was on the show 9 years. I go, what are some of your favorite sketches? He goes, I don't know, man. I don't know.
He was he wants to talk weeds. What I wanted to tell you was like Don Rickles, you know, you see him live.
Done on the television.
His best stuff was with Johnny Carson.
Oh, yeah.
When he would do the thing where he'd be like, you know, between him and Ed, where he would like bounce off the two of them.
It's good.
You know, because it was so funny because it would be like Johnny's like, oh, Johnny, you're like and Ed's like, whoa. So he would use Ed as the tag.
Yeah, and he got to the point where, and he does it now still, but now he's a little older, it doesn't make as much sense. But like when he's really was in the groove and crushing it, his punchline would just be like a sound.
Yes,
he goes, you know, Ed's in the Air Force. You know, Ed was a big war hero. Yeah. You know, meanwhile, Johnny's in Nebraska going, well, it's like, I don't know why, but it makes sense. Now it doesn't really make sense, but back then it made perfect sense. Turn on the television.
He said one thing one time on the Tonight Show, which I thought was like the ultimate cool, because they're all like World War II guys, like old, grizzled, you know, guys. So,
they're all war heroes. They're heroes.
Like, well, yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, Don Rickles.
Yeah, like these guys are like, were in the war.
And like, eject.
What's his name? Johnny Carson, who was...
it's the first time he's ever been referred to as what's his name, by the way.
I'm sorry. No, Johnny Carson.
What's that fella's name?
Johnny Carson was an officer, and Ed was an officer in the Marines, and Johnny was in the Navy. And Don Rickles was in the Navy, but he was an enlisted guy, you know, just like out of Brooklyn.
CPO
So he'd be like, oh, you were an officer, you know, you were hanging around, you know, I'm cleaning a fucking 929 gun, you know, while you're like the black guy. Stewart comes and goes, who wants some pancakes? And I remember like a kid in my pajamas going like, was that just racism? Like, I think that was like my first load of racism on me. Who wants pancakes? Captain? Captain.
Wasn't he a comic relief and his mic didn't work and the stagehand came out and he threw the mic and told him to fetch?
Oh,
Do you remember that?
But then at the end, he always saves it with the song, so it doesn't.
Mr. Nice Guy. I remember
apologize.
at the, I think he was at the Emmys, and he goes, no, it was the Grammys, and he came, I don't know what the fuck it was, but Rickles came out on one of those award shows, and it was Quincy Jones sitting next to John Amos, the father from Good Times. He goes, it's good, John Amos and Quincy Jones sitting in the front row with a sign saying, white women this way. And they cut to Quincy Jones, and John Amos is not a fucking smiler.
Yeah, oh no.
He's looking at, oh, JJ, in your own home, you looking up and hide from nobody. Oh, damn, Florida.
Yeah, those, Joan Rivers also, I think,
White
is fucking
women
great.
this way.
Joan Rivers, you saw that documentary, right?
Done on the television. Done on the television. All right, so Dave Loves Porn is on Showtime.
Dave's old porn, Jay.
I'm sorry. Believe me, I get everything wrong.
Come on, Imus.
Oh, those are nappy-headed O's. Could you do that a little louder next to the mic? You're
What, my 3 bags? I want to give
What are you,
a
a Foley artist? Making it rain? Thank you for doing
Jay.
the podcast, Dave.
No, thanks for having me, dude. It's been too long seeing you, dude.
One of my oldest and best friends in comedy. Really, they say politics makes strange bedfellows. I think comedy makes even stranger bedfellows. I don't think if you did a comedy like Chart and took Attell and Mohr, you wouldn't sandwich us in bunk beds together up at comedy camp. But I think that's where we worked our way towards.
Yeah, well.
Why is everybody fighting?
I'm just so glad. I'm just so glad we're both here to tell the tale. If you know what I say.
I tell
Next year in Jerusalem.
Please go see Dave Attell anywhere you see him. You got a website?
Just go to davesoldporn.com, and that's really what I'm promoting right now. It's just that stuff. But I'm always out there. I'll be doing the Antisocial Tour with January 14th at the Brigada with Norton, Stanhope, and, of course, Artie Lang.
Aziz and Azari. You and Randy. I love you, Dave. Thanks.
Thank you, brother.